All right, let's see. Hey, there I am. Wow, that's not working. I see. Uh, Laptop, deactivate, activate. Aha! There's that handsome bastard. Look at me. Just look at me now. All right, live chat. Let's check. I got to test Twitch, and then we're going to be rocking and rolling again. Oh, boy. You got. Man, we're going to. Give me a minute. My phone has been going ham all day, and I actually just had a comment about that. Like, I got a notification about notifications. All right, cool, cool, cool. We got audio, Twitch is up, YouTube's up, and let me see what this handsome fella needed real quick. Now, let's dig in. Let me see what this is. God dang. All right, let's see. And again, I'm sorry. It's just like I've been just trying and trying and trying to get a lot of stuff figured out here. Okay, now let's go to full screen. There we go. The Dataslate dropped. Obviously, a lot of you saw my post, and I was just like, "Oh, this is poop." Let's look at why I said that. I hadn't had a chance to see everything, and I was getting ready for a stream game and had to kind of rush. So I just had people sending me the Dataslate in a vacuum, like here it is. I didn't get a chance to really see everything. So my initial reaction was like, "Oh, this sucks," because my initial was Power from Pain Army Rule. I read this and I was like, all right, that's kind of pedestrian. And then I read this and I was like, okay, so we're just gonna go into the spam incubi meta, which I'm not a big fan of spam, as a lot of you know. It's just not my thing. I had hoped for some datasheet changes, stuff like that. And oh, let's make sure my chat is working because I'm still showing old chats. Test. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so I was just like, cool. We're just spamming, right? Like that's not my jam. Let's start with let's start here. All right. I didn't expect the detachment to just straight up get changed or a new one. Let's see. So we still have the real Space Raiders, but what we got is a whole new detachment. And that's I wasn't sure if we got a new detachment. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Yay, go me. I passed the test. I didn't expect a whole new detachment. I really hoped for just like some minimal datasheet changes. We're going to look at this whole new detachment. I love it. It plays exactly how I want to play my army. And we're going to dig into it and we're going to talk about why it plays that way. And we're going to talk about what that means for you and what that means for me as a player. Yeah, and that's why I'm going to try to not compare them because the old detachment really just sucks ass. Like, for lack of a better word, it just sucks ass. It's not good, right? It didn't really give me any kind of synergies with my army. It just gave me an abundance of rerolls. And if you build your list right, you're not going to be starved for pain tokens most games. So let's look at Reign of Cruelty. Each time a Drukhari unit from your army disembarks from a transport, until the end of the turn, that unit's ranged weapons have ignore cover, and its melee weapons have the lance ability. This is not oppressive, but this is very solid and very good. Your Cabalites getting ignore cover is going to be really good, especially in Venoms. Cabalites and Venoms are just going to be money right now because they can hop out, they can shoot, and then they can get back in the fight phase. So you can jump them out, dump a bunch of shots, jump them back in. They'll get the ignore cover because they disembarked. Very solid. The lance ability with the Venoms is going to be pretty good. I don't know that a lot of our army will have the killing power to be able to hop back in unless it's got a character. Like maybe if you have Lilith with some succubus or witches, or a succubus with some witches, maybe then. And then maybe with incubi, right? But all in all, it's going to be really good. It looks like I said, like I want to play. I run witches every game. John, if you're still in here, like you can attest, I run witches every game. I don't care if they're good. I don't care if they're bad. I do run witches literally every game. And now I have a reason to, and I'm so excited. I haven't looked at the strats. We're going to be going through that together for the first time. I just saw this and was just like, oh my God. That's right. And sometimes I run 20, but now I'm running 30. Let's go. So let's look at their enhancements. Let's talk about the first thing I noticed with their enhancement. We don't have the bullshit that we had in the previous detachment, where it was like, your witch could take this, your Archon could take this. It's just a Drukhari model now. So our army actually works like every other army in the game. And I don't mind when they're like, hey, this can only be taken by witches if it were worth, or by a succubus, if they were good, right? But they weren't really good. Well, the succubus ability or enhancement was pretty good. But overall, they weren't very good enhancements. And then they were like sub-faction locked, right? Phantasmal Smoke, Drukhari modeled Oni. Oh, my words are tough, man. I'm telling you guys, like, this is how pumped I am. I haven't been this excited for 40k in so long. While the bearer's unit is wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Drukhari transport, models in the bearer's unit have the benefit of cover and stealth ability. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. I like it. It requires positioning. You got to stick close to your boats. We're looking at if you're a shooting player, not much is going to change if you run this detachment in terms of your list building. But if you're like me and you want to get into melee, we're looking at a boats and hose meta, right? Like, and I'm sorry, but that's what we're looking at. Like, we're bringing witches, we're bringing boats, and having stealth and cover. Cover won't necessarily affect them, but the stealth could help. Is good. And then Spiteful Raider, each time the bearer's unit destroys an enemy unit in the fight phase, if it was within range of one or more objective markers, when it was selected to fight, you gain 1 additional pain token. That's great, because we don't really seem to have ways to generate additional pain tokens at the start of the game, right? Because we don't have, we don't have if you take a succubus or you take a whatever, get this. Like, this is awesome. So if I charge onto an objective and I kill a unit, I get 2 pain tokens. And if I kill a character, that's technically killing 2 units. Each time it destroys, yeah, because it's every time you destroy a unit, you gain an additional pain token. So if I did a stream game today. Shout out to Steven. He was a great sport for that game. I didn't realize he was as inexperienced in 10th as he was. We played a little bit in 9th together. Shout out to him for being a good sport, because that was a rough game for him. And I appreciate that he had a great attitude the whole time, and he was just willing to learn. But if I killed the character and I kill the unit, That's 4 pain tokens I get right there. That's awesome. And now my pain tokens give me an extra pip of AP in the fight phase. Like, bro, come on, let's go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Heck yeah. I'm so ready. Dude, we're going to dig into it. I am jazzed. Like, I've been pretty down on 40k for a long time, and then I saw this detachment, and I was just like, oh, I get to play the way I want to play. Finally, I'm not getting shoehorned into Cabalites. I hate those things. Give me my witches back. We're going to get into that, man. We're going to get into that. I agree, because we're going to talk about the points adjustments, too. Sadistic Fulcrum. Each time you expend a pain token to empower a bearer's unit in the shooting phase, you can select a Drukhari transport, and that transport is also empowered. For sure, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like 10th. I really don't. But part of it's just been like the armies I play, they just don't play the way they should, right? And so, like, with this, this is exactly how I want to play. This Sadistic Fulcrum, phenomenal. Each time you spend a pain token to empower this unit, a transport within 3 also gets empowered. Guys, you don't have to disembark from that transport, right? So if I have a Tantalus just filled with Cabalites and shooting, I can empower that unit as long as it's within 3 of the Tantalus, and the Tantalus is also empowered with all their firing deck weapons. This is just a free pain token, as long as your transport is within 3 inches of the character with that enhancement. It's great. Obviously, you're going to want that on something that's not necessarily going to get stuck in a lot. You're going to want something shooting. And then Nightmare Shroud. Each time the bearer's unit disembarks from a transport until the end of the turn, enemy units cannot use fire. Thank God. Because Fire Overwatch, to me, is the biggest frigging curse of this edition. Archon is probably just better than Drazar to lead Incubi now, though full hit rerolls to hit and wound for 1 CP. You still get +1 to wound when exiting. Yeah, I'm probably running both, if we're being honest, because Drazar, we don't call him Big Dick Drazar around here for no reason. I didn't use fallback and charge often enough to feel like I needed it, and we haven't even gotten to the strats. We're just on the enhancements. And -1 to wound and lightning fast reaction. So the losing -1 to wound could be kind of spicy, like a big loss for the way I've been playing, John. But now I just get to bring different toys, right? And we're going to get into the strats because I don't know what the strats are yet. But knowing that I can disembark and I don't have to worry about picking up my unit is phenomenal. And I can put that right there. So like what Garrett Family Aquatics said, and I'm just going to call you Garrett unless you have a different name you want to be called by. But like Garrett just said, if I bring an Archon, I can put the Nightmare Shroud on the Archon, get my Incubi out, and then they get to go ham. I'd still probably take Talos. Like, Talos, in my opinion, are still just too good to not bring, and they got a 10-point drop. They went from 90 to 80, so I'm still taking Talos, man. T7, 7 wounds, 3 up save, 5 up feel no pain, twin linked haywire, twin linked liquefier, 5 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 8, neg 2, 3 damage. They go to neg 3, 3 damage if I empower them. And then instead, if I do the other things, the macro scalpels, they're strength 7, neg 1, 2 damage, and they go to neg 2, 2 damage. Like, they're still auto takes. Nah, not unless Ravagers went down. At 115 points, I'm still taking the Talos over the Ravagers. But again, that's because of my play style. Although I've been running Ravagers with Disintegrator Cannons lately, and I've had really good success with that. So let's look at strats, guys. Let's do it. All right. Vicious Blades. Bro, tell me, Ravager, tell me I finally get like some good melee with my boats. Like I said, I haven't gotten to look at these yet. Absolutely, they're both viable. Really, they both serve different roles because the Talos are still going to be able to tank objectives better than the Ravagers. The Ravagers are going to give you more efficient shooting. The Talos are a Swiss Army knife for how I play them. And because of how I play them, I'm just like, here's Twin Linked Haywire, here's Twin Link Liquefier, and then here's, a unit of 2 is 10 attacks with 3 damage swings. Most people give them a wide berth, but let's see what the strats do. After your transport is fought, select one enemy unit that was the target of one or more of those attacks. Roll 1d6 for each model embarked in your transport, adding 1 if it was a Rax model. For each 5 up. Oh, oh my God. All right, so yeah, that's it. So no. It's after they fight. So here's what I'm thinking is you put 15 racks in a Tantalus, you charge, you tank shock, you shock prow, then after it fights with its 6 attacks at strength 8, neg 2, 2 damage because you empowered it, you get 15 dice, 4 ups or mortal wounds. You're going to get your 6 on average. So between shock prow, tank shock, and the racks, you should kill whatever it is you're trying to kill. And what's funny about that, and I'm sorry if I'm really loud, like I'm just really excited, man. Right, exactly. So I played a game against my buddy, and he brought Necrons, and he put the one of the Catan shards in the middle. I'm trying to think of which one it was. Doesn't matter. Like they have the 4-up invuln. It was turn 1. His turn 1, he got area denial. He slammed it in there, and he killed a Venom. And I was like, all right, I got assassinate, and then I got area denial. So all I had to do was kill that Catan shard. So I ran some cab lights up there, hit him with grenades, charged it with the Tantalus, hit it with tank shock, hit it with shock prow, and just like nuked it. And just having all these mortal wounds coming out of one unit is just like, oh my God, this is spicy. One Drukhari infantry unit that fought this phase, your unit can make a oh man, Wraith-like retreat. Your unit, after one unit from your army that fought this phase at the end of the fight phase, your unit can make a normal or fallback move, but unless it is witches, it must end that move wholly within 3 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of a transport. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Adam, I've got one. We're getting real hard into Old World right now, and I'm like, do I buy another Tantalus? Because I've been eyeing one anyway, but it's like, do I buy another Tantalus or do I buy Wood Elves? And Jesus, man. Whew. And yes, if you're curious, that is a adult beverage I am consuming right now. Good way to take, yeah, and that's it, man. Is like, if I don't have tools to deal with high toughness monsters, then I'll just use the tools I have, right? I can grenades, dude. Wraith-like retreat, bomb strat. That is awesome. I agree, and it's one of those like these aren't oppressive, but we've been working with such garbage for so long that just like average to good things feel like amazing, right? But this Wraith-like retreat is a strat we've needed. Something that allows us to move, right? Something that gives us the mobility we used to have. Pounce on the prey. When your movement phase, just after an infantry unit from your army disembarks that made a normal move this phase. Just after a Drukhari. Oh, we finally have assault ramp. They don't want to give it to us as a keyword on our raiders, but at least one unit is going to be able to have the transport move, disembark, and still charge. And this is spicy, man. If you put that on an Archon or a Succubus, the no Overwatch, right? Like if you've got... Right? Dude, for real. If you put Pounce on the Prey on either an Archon with Incubi or a Succubus with Witches, and you put them in a raider and you move the raider up, disembark them, use pounce on the prey to charge, and they can't be overwatched. Like, that's meaty. Exactly what I'm saying. Exactly, Adam. Like, this is how I've wanted my army to work. The old detachment just didn't do anything. There was no synergy. There was no nothing. This is like, hey, you like melee? Here's some melee stuff. You need boats. Here's some stuff that works with boats. Well, yeah, they are, and we're going to see a lot of them, which to me is unfortunate. Because here's what's going to happen: is the hyper competitive players who spam stuff are going to spam it, and then we're going to get punished for it. So enjoy it while it lasts. So I've been playing witches, like I said, I've been playing witches this whole time. I run 10 to 20 literally every game. I run at least 10 incubi literally every game. I don't care. And honestly, I've not had complaints over incubi and Drazar. I know a lot of people are like, well, they're too overpointed. They're not worth. And I just have not had that interaction personally. The way I felt about incubi and Drazar has been, they're a tool for a specific job, and if you get them in the right targets, they're fantastic. I love pounce on the prey. That's amazing. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, witches to me were just a blade of wounds, so I could get Lilith in there. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Hell yeah. Woo! Cheers to you, buddy. Pounce on the prey is great. That's what we need. Skyborn Annihilation, your shooting phase. So we do have to shoot, guys. One Drukhari unit from your army that disembarked from a transport this turn and has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by your models get sustained hits 1 or sustained hits 2 if they're Kabalites. Wow. Wow. Like, I shouldn't be this excited, but man, that is awesome. That is incredible. Having a Dark Lance with sustained hits, having a, like, Blaster with sustained hits, or if you're shooting at, like, other elves, having 10 Splinter Rifle shots with sustained hits. Well, we haven't seen them all, but so CP generation has always been an issue for us. And part of how I've mitigated that is that early game, I always plan on discarding 1 secondary for the first 2 turns. yeah, for sure, John. Yeah, and honestly, like, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, no, it's one of those, like, turn 1 and turn 2, I just always plan on underscoring. I go into every game going turn 1 and turn 2, I'm probably discarding an objective, and I'm just going to Dragon Horde my command points so that turn 3, I can start really, like, getting my traction. And that's one of the reasons why John and I have such great games. He's one of the guys in the chat for you listeners. Is because he tends to play an early game, and I tend to play a late game. So a lot of our games are big chess games. Yeah. Sorry, man, but I did at least comment on it and let you know I was live. So where were we? Wraith-like Retreat, Pounce on the Prey, Skyborn Annihilation, Sustained Hits 1, sustained hits 2 if it's a Kabalite Warriors unit. There are a few things I do want to go over in the points. We're going to do that after we go through this. Swooping Mockery. Your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advanced, or fallback move. A Drukhari transport that is not within engagement range and is in 9 inches. This is awesome. And again, Buggies are back. 10 points less. Hell yeah, John. Good to hear. YouTube is fantastic. Play on, sir. Thanks, man. Wish I could stay in chat. Yeah, I mean this is my work, buddy. I wish I could say I'm less hyped to be here, but I'm also hyped, right? Like this is awesome. I'm pumped. Yeah, Transport Phantasm. It is a 6-inch move. Sorry, I was reading something on the screen here. Uh, and again, this is one of those interactions that most armies have to some degree, but for whatever reason, whoever wrote our index was just like, nah, y'all don't need this. Y'all some riffraff. You don't get that shit, right? Because like NIDs have it on multiple units. Space Marines have it. Man, like so many things have it. So a 6-inch normal move with the transport after somebody ends within 9 is phenomenal. I'll take it. Night Shield. Your opponent's shooting phase, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I was hopeful that we were just going to get 5-up invulns, but I'm not going to complain that we get a strat that gives us a 4-up invuln. When we had 5th edition, we had the 5-up invuln against shooting only, and I kind of thought maybe we would just go back to that, like the 5-up only shooting invuln. But being able to just give one unit a 4-up invuln, again, if we go to the transports like Tantalus, that thing going to a 4-up invuln with 18 wounds, pretty solid. The problem I've had with the Tantalus historically is that like there's a lot of games, if it lives for more than one turn, I'm winning that game. But if it dies in a single shooting phase, like I'm probably not. Like if it starts on the table and it dies before turn 3, I'm not winning that game. If it's still alive on turn 3, that game's over. I've won it. Let's see. I don't think there were any datasheet changes. Oh, god dang. Let's see. I don't think so. I just want to see one thing real quick. I want to see if Grotesques got any love, and I want to see if Witches got any love. I didn't see any datasheet changes. I assume those would have been. So, James, it's funny you say that. Like, I just had that discussion with the guy I played today, right? We played on stream, and we were talking about. He was just like, man, that Haywire is rough. But he was playing Space Marines, and he had a lot of vehicles. And I've been what like since for at least the last 6 months, I've just been like, you know what, man, I'm done taking Dark Lances. I'm just taking Haywire, and if I hit monsters, like if I hit demons, whatever. If I hit nids, whatever. We're just gonna let Jesus take the wheel. On their splinter pistols, yes, they should have been anti-infantry 3-up. I think originally they were 4-up, and then an FAQ came out that moved them and a couple things to 3-up. But I was just like, I just got to the point where I got tired of every faction having vehicles with a 4-up invul, and then I was just like, all right, cool, pick it up. I'm just done with this. Let's see, blast pistol, splinter pistol. So that didn't change. Yeah, okay. And I don't, like I said, I don't think anything changed. I haven't heard anything. Grotesques didn't change. God, these things suck so bad. I hate saying that, but these things are still terrible. All right, so let's look at we talked about the balanced data slate, right? We do get, and the other thing, guys, is that we get an additional pip of AP and gals if there are any out there. Again, I use that generally. We can put incubi and cabalites, which we already talked about, but we get an additional pip of AP if we empower a unit. So witches are looking real meaty. Disembarking from a transport, getting Lance, and getting neg 2 AP makes them usable. Like, I wouldn't say they're amazing, But for 9 points a model, that's pretty good. You know, for example, if you've got 5 witches and you charge, like you disembark from a venom and you charge into a squad of 5 marines, you're going to get 15 attacks re-rolling hits because you're going to empower them. You know, you're going to drop 5 and then you're going to drop 2 or 3, so you're going to get 12 to 13 attacks, which means you're going to put 7.5 wounds on them. At -2, 7.5 5-ups. So let's round it. You're going to kill, on average, right, like 2 to 3 Marines. They did get a points drop, and we're getting ready to talk about that, James, because that's the next thing. All right, so here's the points. And all the green ones with the down arrows are points drops. The red ones are points increases. And I think we'll dig into this a little bit deeper, but I think it's interesting that the Void Raven got a points hike. Like, for Christ's sake, it wasn't that oppressive. It's less attacks because witches get 3, and witches have a 4-up invuln and melee. So it's one of those, like, yes and no. You go from 0 AP to -1 with Kabalites. I actually wonder if it's to, like, preemptively smack, like, Yanari detachments that are running them or something. So the Archon didn't change. Beastmaster didn't change. Court of the Archon didn't change. Kronos. And I'm glad the Kronos didn't change. I thought maybe he might see a 5 or a 10-point hike. Big Dick Drazar, he went down. And he went down, what, like, I think 15 points? And again, I didn't personally run into too many issues with him. But I know a lot of people were like, oh, he's not worth his points. I tend to disagree, but I had been running him the whole time. I can't think of a single game in 10th out of the hundreds, like literal hundreds of games I've played. I can't think of a single game where I didn't bring Drazar. And out of those hundreds of games, I can only probably think of 1 or 2 where I was like, damn, he didn't do anything. To be fair, he didn't do anything on my stream game today, but not because Drazar died. Grotesques went to 90 points per model. What were they before? I think I still have the old points. I don't think my app's updated yet, but some people have updated apps. And I see Scari's already talking about it too. I think he's streaming on it right now, guys. Let's see. The Grotesques. Let's see. I think they were, what, like 35? So they didn't even get that big of a drop. Yeah, they went from 105 for 3, which is 35 points a model. My Kabalites always charge, buddy. That's just how I play. I ain't scared. Yeah, down 5 points a model, still not bringing them. 30 points a model is still not worth for Grotesques. Don't care. They are just the poopy duty. Although, well, I may have to reevaluate that statement. They take up 3 slots. I think that's what holds them back. Because, like, if they took up 2 slots, I think they're worth 30 points, especially in this detachment. Being able to disembark them, get Lance, get friggin' additional AP on their melee. Going to Strength 5, neg 2, 2 damage, +1 to wound. Like, I can put them in a Raider then. But a unit of 3 in a Raider, I don't know that that's worth. Maybe, I don't know. We are losing -1 to wound. No. I get it. This detachment is more offensive, and I'm here for it, man. Like, I don't play Magic anymore, but when I played Magic, I would run mono green decks, right? Like, my whole board state's turning, and math is for blockers. That's just how I play, dude. So I'm here for it. Losing -1 to wound, like I said, if they go to taking up 2 slots, I'll pay 30 to 35 for them. In their current state, I think they need to be about 25. Hellions dropped a lot. for a unit, not a model, right? Because they went down from 100 for 5 to 85 for 5. And I like Hellions. And I think the new Army rules benefit them a lot. They can't really go in transports, I don't think. Because I think all of our transports just say they can't take anything with fly. But getting neg 2, like 3 attacks, strength 4, neg 2, 2 damage, worth. Absolutely worth. For 85 points a model, like Hellions are going to see the table. I'm going to be doing some list theory crafting. Maybe we'll kind of work on that. I don't know. We'll see. But to me, Hellions, worth it now. And I was kind of like dabbling with them before at 100 points. Incubi went down again also, which is why I think, like, unfortunately, what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of players just go Smooth Brain, Archons, Incubi, and there's nothing wrong with that. But guys, like, when you go to events, don't run 3 of them, because that's how we get our shit nerfed, right? Like, run 1, run 2, don't run 3. You start running 3, and if everybody's running 3, that's how our shit gets nerfed. So if we're smart, we can avoid major nerfs by going, hey, we're going to slap one Archon and one Incubi unit and maybe Drazar and another, and we'll make this work. Raiders down 10 points. I'm glad it went down. Still too many goddamn points. Although, again, with this new detachment and some of the strat support that they have, arguably is justified. I still feel like 80 is too much for a glorified orc truck. I think they're the same now. I think they're both 75. Yeah, they're both 75. Obviously, you can put an enhancement on the Archon, which arguably makes him better. But Drazar gives them +1 to wound all the time. So it's one of those like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I still like Drazar. Drazar gets once per game precision. Drazar has 3 damage swings. Exactly. You put that either on an Archon or you put it on a Succubus and you let Jesus take the wheel, buddy. You got it. Let's see. Raiders. Like I said, I still think Raiders are overpointed. I don't think it's by a lot, but ultimately, like, it is what it is. Reavers are interesting now. And I know a lot of players, because like I've interacted with a lot of you in like comment sections and stuff, obviously, and we've talked on chats. I don't like Reavers. And a lot of it has to do with my play style. I want them to bonk, and they don't bonk. But now when I empower them, getting a pip of rend lets them bonk a little better. So my Reavers are probably going to see the table a little bit more. And I've talked to some of you guys, and you guys like, man, I've been running Reavers, and I've had great success, and that's awesome, man. Like, I love it. I'm here for it. Just because of how I play, they just haven't seen the table. So Reavers getting -1 when they're empowered, I dig it. I am excited for that. Because now my handsome little ladies on bikes get to see the table. Succubus went down again, which is, she was already cheap. What is she? Units. Another 10 points. Oh, one of my buddies just texted me. Give me 1 second. She went down 10 points. She probably didn't need to. Good for investigate signals behind enemy lines instead of heat lance. Yeah, absolutely. Like, the heat lance is fine. And, being T4 with a 4-up save and 2 wounds is a solid unit for what we have. I've just like the list that I played on stream today is generally what I've been doing lately. And I've had pretty good success with it. Yeah. 135 for witches and a succubus is bonkers good. Especially now that they can get lance. That's what I'm saying. Like, that points drop might be a little preemptive. especially with, like, if I want to, I can shut off Overwatch, stuff like that. Talos dropped 10 points. I'm still bringing them, man. I don't care if I have -1 to wound or not. They're still just like an insanely good value for their points. T7, 7 wounds, 3 up save, 6 up invuln, 5 up feel no pain. I run them with Twin Haywire, I run them with Twin Liquefier, and I run them with the Gauntlet. And it's just a good value for their points. The Gauntlet is neg 3/3 damage when you empower them. And if they kill a unit, they're always empowered. So, like, that's just a great value. You're getting a lot of wounds with a feel no pain. Very good. Piss Boy didn't change. Venoms also went down, I think, 10 points, right? Because I think they were 80 and Raiders were 90. Venom's going down 10 points is interesting. I arguably would have put Raiders down about 15 to 20 and left Venoms the same. Like, I feel like Venoms should be more than Raiders right now. But I'm not going to bitch. Like, you just gave me a detachment that rewards me for playing boats, and then you made my boats cheaper. Let's go. Racks didn't change. Racks are weird because they don't really benefit from anything that's happened. Like, they do get neg 1 AP if they're empowered, which is interesting. Anti-infantry 4-up and melee is kind of eh. But overall, like, it's a little weird, right? Now, racks in a boat do give you the 4-up mortal wounds for the strat, so you at least have a reason to run them. But the rack shooting is kind of shitty. And it's one of those, like, I don't know. I like racks. They can be cheeky, they can be fun, but I typically don't run more than 5 or 10 in a list. Right, and that's what we're talking about. 4-up mortals for the vicious blades. Exactly, James. Perfect. It's one of those, like, do I run them for one strat? Although with points drops on a lot of the things that I was already bringing, I could probably, like, shoehorn a unit or two of racks in now anyway. The old Tantalussi didn't change, which, okay, that's fair. If other things got drops, that probably should have stayed the same. It's such a weird unit, and it's one of those, like, when I look at other armies 230-point units, and I look at the Tantalus, and I'm just like, correct. He's not an epic hero. You could take 2, but that's, so, like, I did kind of touch on that, Kuba, is like, when we go to events, if we're competitive players and we go to tournaments, we need to be real careful and make sure we're running 2, but not 3 of a lot of things. If every Drukhari list is just like, here's 3 units of Incubi, here's 3 Archons, we're just going to get smacked with points hikes. Even if we're not winning events, we're just getting smacked with points hikes. Right, 10 racks is on average 5 mortals. Where racks get interesting, though, is if you take 15 of them and drop them in a Tantalus and then charge. Now, we're talking about 2 command points to make this happen, but you could charge with the Tantalus. You're averaging your 6 mortal wound cap. Spam brings nerfs. Exactly, my man. That's it. Like, and that's one of the reasons why I try not to spam. It's like, first of all, if it's that good that I have to spam it, then I'm going to have to learn how to play without it because GW is going to take it away from me. So I might as well just not spam it rather than, like, well, it's good now, I'm going to spam it. Well, cool. That mentality is why it gets nerfed. But if you put 15 racks in a Tantalus, you can tank shock prow, and vicious blades that dude. 5 racks on your home objective and done. If you're bringing boatloads of racks to a game, take a selfie. So it's funny you say that, James. Did take boatloads of racks. Wow! I think with that list, I'm 1-1. And it was just a stupid list, and it was so funny. Yeah, absolutely, Garrett. Run them all you want to. The main thing is that if you go to tournaments, just limit yourself, right? Like, tell your homies when you're playing with your homies, like, hey, man, I'm going to run this. It's going to be either really good or really bad, but I'm going to run it. Uh, yeah, no, for sure. And two Archons is great. Like, two Archons is fine, especially because we're not bringing the homunculus for the most part. Although the homunculus could be an interesting take simply because his melee goes to -2, anti-infantry 2 up with precision. So now he becomes an interesting anti-infantry 2 up. Yeah, yeah. He becomes an interesting take for this detachment because of the lance won't matter so much, but like with the new +1 AP or bonus AP when you empower, that becomes an interesting thought. All right, detachments. All right. So, all right, guys, real quick. I want you to look at these detachment enhancements. Here's the real space raiders. The labyrinthine cunning is 30 points. And the art of pain is 25. And both of those are more than every enhancement in the new detachment. Why? Nobody, literally nobody, is going to play the real space raid. It doesn't give us anything, and I'm almost wondering if it's going to get changed or go away at some point. Gotcha. And that's fair, man. I do a lot of tournaments, Cuba, and so like I think about how what I bring or play could impact. I don't know, man. I've actually played for about the last month without bringing it, and a lot of it's because my Archon doesn't start on the table; it starts in a transport. And I can only think of like one game where I was like, man, I could have used more tokens. I only bring one Chronos. I just make sure I kill stuff is the main thing. You know, exactly. It's one of those where like we knew it was bad, and this detachment within the scope of every army in 10th, we don't know how it's going to interact once it's out in the wild. But I think I think it's going to put us around that 50% win rate. This detachment, I do. But I think what you're going to see is you're going to see players like me who are like, this is what I've been waiting for the whole time. And you're going to see players like Scary who, like, this is all we do is we just play Drukhari and that's it. And that's going to be a lot of it. Maybe. And that's fair. It's one of those where I don't know simply because of how I play, James. Typically, I don't spend too many turn one or two anyway. It's not till turn three that I start kind of looking to do a lot of my damage. Exactly. Super bland. It didn't have any synergies. It didn't do anything. I don't know that we have to, because we don't have any advance in charge. So I don't know that we have to start worrying about damage early. What I think it is I think we're going to have to be a bit more careful with our positioning. Not that we didn't have to already, but because of the fact that we have to be a bit more careful with our positioning, we get to, make sure we're sending units where they need to be to maximize what we get. Like, what I think the play would be is either if you're going to run two Archons, I think they're both going to have an enhancement. I think one's going to get the no Overwatch, and I think one's going to get the bonus pain token. There we go. One's going to get the bonus pain token every time they kill a unit if it's on an objective, right? And you're going to have one unit that you need to just send at objectives and just slaughter people. and go, okay, you're dead. Now I get an additional pain token. And that's where Drazar becomes good. Because, again, you know, a lot of people poo-poo Drazar, but when you pop his once per game precision, if you roll 2 6s, you're picking up almost every character in the game, and then you get 1 plus a D3 pain tokens. So it's like you're just going to have to kind of be a bit more precise. And that's what I wanted from this army. I wanted in 10th edition for it to be like 9th edition. Yeah, but 20-inch advance isn't going to get you anything because you don't have a way to charge. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. But like if I've got a unit with an Archon and like 5 or 10 incubi, and I send them to an objective and they can clear it out, I get 2 pain tokens. If I've got Drazar and I can send him into a unit with a character, I'm gonna pop his precision and I'm gonna see if I can smoke that character. That's fair too, man. Like that is also fair. That is absolutely how I play. Like I'm gonna put this boat right here when I'm ready to charge, and if you pop it, you better hope you pop it before. You better hope you have units left over to shoot when you pop it, because if you don't, you're gonna be hurting. I love it, dude. I love this detachment. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it brings a lot of flavor. And I think it brings a lot of fun to this army. And that's where I feel like we've all been kind of lacking, is our army hasn't had any flavor, it hasn't had any synergy, it hasn't had any fun. Absolutely, man. I started Dark Eldar. I dabbled with them in third. I didn't really like fully commit. I dabbled with them in third, and I stopped playing 40k altogether around fourth or fifth, and got into fantasy real hard. When I got back into eighth, I played orcs because I've always been an orc player. And then mid to late ninth, I started dabbling with Drukhari because I was like, man, this army looks super fun. And I've just shifted completely into Drukhari since. You know, I've just been a full-on Drukhari player for about the last 2 years, and outside of like a handful of events, and I have loved it the whole time until the real space raid came out. And initially, I was like, okay, this isn't terrible. Excuse me. But as we've kind of seen how 10th has shaken out, it was like, okay, this is worse than I thought it was. So, the downside we're going to see too, guys, and another thing to keep in mind is our Craft World brethren. If you don't watch Proxy Hammer or know who he is, he's got a YouTube channel. Super nice dude. He talks about Craft World specifically. Those guys are going to try and scalp our stuff, and that's also going to cause us to get nerfs. At least until GW imposes a points tax on our units for their army. So in ninth, they had a pretty flexible play style, which I liked. I play, and this is everything I play when it comes to 40k. Like, I just want to bonk. This is what we're doing. So I played a very witch-heavy army. Sometimes I would bring a lot of racks, but racks in ninth edition were pretty heckin' good. But the let's see. I'm trying to think. My brain's trying to process real quick. Give me a second. In ninth ed, a lot of what I did was a lot of witches. The succubus was outstanding. And I ran the sub faction that gave you like when you do sixes on your saves. I've already kind of accepted that. I'm not super worried about that. Bastion Wargaming. It's one of those like it is what it is, and if that's the case, so be it. Uh, I'm fine to work with this. This plays exactly how I want to play. 2027. Wait, when's the next edition, guys? When is it? It's gonna be the friggin' what is it? The Guard or the World Eaters Codex of 10th edition, where it's like, here's your book. Oh, here's the Bohica. You're also getting a whole new edition, and we're going back to Index. Go to hell. And for those that don't know, Bohica is an acronym. It means bend over, here it comes again. How do you feel about losing the good enhancement for the succubus? I actually feel all right about it, John. That's actually a good question. The succubus's enhancement was very good, giving her bonus attacks. And what else did she get? I'm trying to remember. But it gave her bonus attacks was the main thing. Like she would just roll a shitload of dice. And AP, I think, right? The Blade Dancer. I will sacrifice the Blade Dancer or whatever it's called. Blood Dancer. There we go. Yeah, bonus attacks and bonus AP. I'll sacrifice that in order to make the rest of my army better. Because now I'm no longer running witches to run a succubus, right? Like, the succubus is in there. The witches now have strength 3 with effectively Lance, right? James, we already talked about that, buddy. I'll circle back on that. But even with just a regular succubus, you now have a unit with 30 attacks, sustained hits, empowered -2 AP, and Lance if they come out of a transport. I'll sacrifice my couple of attacks and AP on my succubus to get 30 dice at strength 3, -2, 1 damage with Lance. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly. Exactly. The pain token bonus kind of makes up for the loss of AP from the Blood Dancer. And Lilith, exactly, James. Lilith is absolutely nutty with this detachment. Where she go to, I think she goes to -4 or 5, something like that, and then the witches go to -3 if you empower them, because they're -1 empowering, and then Lilith -3, and they're strength 4 with Lance. Like, this is it. Like, this is what I wanted. I've waited my whole life for this moment, guys. Like, absolutely. I love it. I'm so pumped. Is there anything real meaty in here? Did Craft World get their PP whapped again, guys? Night Spinner. Oh no. I feel bad for Craft Worlds as an army. Not the players. Like, those guys are cringe. But as an army, like, that's rough, man. Night Spinner went up to 210 points. Poor Coven left out in the cold here. Everything else looks excellent. Yeah, but it's one of those. So my experience with Drukhari has generally been that a lot of times the Homunculus Coven is kind of like the forgotten section of Drukhari. And they'll probably have a detachment specific to, or that will really benefit them. I think the main thing is that, like, grotesques just need to either take up 2 slots in a transport or go to 20 or 25 points. And Wraithguard went up. I don't know by how much, but they went up. Jesus. it's one of those, like, the reason I feel bad about how craft worlds are getting treated is, like, you can't point them to fix them. Like, their rules are just that efficient. And it's like, guys, stop trying to fix them with points. You're going to have to just, like, revamp the whole index. Like, I'm sorry. But that being said, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to use the restroom, and I've got to get ready to pick up my daughter from school in about an hour. So we're done with the adult beverages for now. I appreciate everybody hanging out. I'm glad we all got to be excited. Good. I hate those things. I smoked a whole unit of them with a Tantalus by itself, and it was hilarious. And I didn't even shoot it. Not by itself, sorry, with 2 units. I did grenades, I did tank shock, I did shock prow, and I smoked most of that unit. It was glorious. But that being said, like I said, I've gotta drink some water, and I've got to get ready to pick up the daughter. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. This looks fun. I'm gonna start building lists. John, if you're still on here, you and me, buddy, the big showdown on Friday. So let's go. It will be this detachment, and it'll be a fun game, as they always are. So, big shout out to all you guys, and a big shout out, big thanks for the super chat. Again, you guys are awesome. I appreciate the support. I appreciate everything everybody does. Garrett, again, like I said, big shout out for the super chat. To all you Archons and Incubi out there,